Welcome to Entertainment Weekly's Around the Table. But it also is such an informational show too, and there's been a lot with the election in these side stories like the George Floyd case that came down and the unrest that happened. It's a huge, huge part of this election, and that is a deep, deep story that I assume, like what you're saying to your point, Dulce, that you would want to be there with those people and you weren't able to. Does that take a different toll on you guys, like having to make those connections? I think you alluded to it, Dulce. You have to make those connections over Zoom in something that means so much to so many people and is so pivotal for the whole nation.
Well, I think as a Black person and Trevor being a Black host, I was glad where he was like, we're gonna have to, because when all the protests started, our show was dark, and that was the first time we had gone dark, because we were supposed to be going dark meaning we didn't produce a show, and because there was 2 other dark weeks we were supposed to have, and we decided not to take them because there was so much going on in the news. So we finally were like, okay, we've been working steady since March. Let's take this dark week, and then this happened. And George Floyd was murdered, and and then there was Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery. So all these things happened at the same time. And it was us trying to go as a show, like, okay, these are very important. There's not a lot of funny here. How do we convey this information? How do we convey how we feel, what's going on in a way that doesn't take light of it, but still is informing people? And I know that, and people might get mad at me, and I don't care. I was glad to see that we did take into consideration, because we've always been talking about these police brutality stories when other people weren't. We've always been talking about things that are issues for women and people of color when other people have only wanted to talk about the election. It's just like there's other things going on in people's lives. So when Desi had her special, and that was very important. And so I'm glad that Trevor does pay attention to everything that's going on, and was made sure that we not even portrayed, but just informed people in the best way possible about a huge tragedy. Because I would see news sources and it wasn't the way I wanted it to be told. And I think it's because we have a Black host and we have a very diverse writing staff and we have very diverse correspondents that we were able to really have a real conversation, as opposed to a room full of white people telling the story in a way that made themselves comfortable.
I think also to what Dulce is saying, the thing that Trevor does very well is he's able to capture the emotion of the moment. And so if you start from an angry place about something that people are angry about, if you start from an outraged place, then you're on the same level with your audience. And then any jokes that come after that are less likely to be perceived as insensitive or not of the moment. We did a piece about the citizens arrest law, which ultimately led to the death of Ahmaud Arbery. And we were able to talk to a Georgia state representative who was working to have the law repealed. There aren't jokes in Mr. Arbery's death, but there were jokes in how outrageous people are fighting to keep this law on the books. So you find the jokes that exist around the perimeter of the tragedy that also capture the outrage that everyone is feeling. And I think for as long as you honor and respect the feelings of what people as a nation were feeling at the time, then I think you're able to do something that captures the moment properly. And I think people won't even miss the laugh if there's fewer jokes. When we came back after George Floyd, those first 2 episodes were deep. They were deep. Like Trevor even wore a black hoodie. He ain't even worn a black hoodie since. Like it was deep. So I think that for as long as we're capturing the emotion of the moment, wherever the jokes come, I think the jokes are interpreted as being sincere and earnest.
If you enjoyed that panel, you need to check out last night's Late Night by AW, which drops every single morning on Quibi. It's the only show out there that showcases the most must-see late night moments, from monologue jokes to sketches to celebrity interviews, all in one fell swoop. So check us out. That's last night's Late Night by Entertainment Weekly on Quibi.